The Elephant Trunk Flea Market is one of the largest flea markets in all of New England. The people who are very serious about the Elephant Trunk Flea Market wake up super early to get there. I'm not really that serious about anything, but I am serious about liking to look at video games. So, I went there and I saw some stuff. Let's get into it. Megamind is one of those hidden gem movies that got a lot more appreciation a lot later. Have you ever actually played this game? It kind of looks like a sequel. I don't know, maybe. That Madonna poster's neat, but I have no idea why I didn't buy this Step Brothers shirt. Oh well. These old glasses are always filled with lead, but I'm just gonna throw this out there. Old Hamburglar scares the crap out of me. I think Biggie might have been the GOAT. The only Grateful Dead shirts I know anything about are the Vegas ones and the Lithuania ones. This is a really sick looking board game. I mean, T2 is a masterpiece. I'm not a big toy collector, but I always love seeing like toys that are new old stock. It's just so neat to see something so well preserved. I remember seeing a local news story about this because Xena was too scantily clad. Great show. This vendor had some video games, but really nothing I was looking for. It is neat to see some stuff though. I love seeing box and NES games. I don't think I'll collect a full set, but it's really neat to see. I never learned how to skateboard, and it's still one of those things I always kind of want to do. When I first started my professional career, I just got one and I skated down a huge hill. I fell super hard and skinned the crap out of my arm. My first thought in recovery was if I would have really messed up my hands, I wouldn't have been able to work for weeks. Bunch of LJN WCW wrestlers. A friend I ran into picked up these. I have a soft spot for these, but he got them, not me. I don't know too much about Mazinga, but these are super duper cool. This booth also had a whole bunch of Kinnikuman and some other really cool things that you usually don't see outside of like a specialty toy shop. These are all pretty expensive as well, but they were like primo horror stuff. I never have a place to put toys, but I just think they're so cool. This guy sells a lot, but he had a whole bunch of Nintendo Powers. I don't need this and I didn't get it, but I love the packaging. You know, magazines seem like they're a little bit on their way out, but I really think that like vintage printed things are all really cool. The only magazine I'm really collecting for is Nintendo Power, but if I found enough Nickelodeon magazines, I'd collect for that too. There's a huge range of stuff at this flea market, from like American Pickers type stuff all the way down to like just old VHS. I like looking at the old VHS though. There were plenty of vendors that were more than willing to work with you on price, but this particular booth didn't have anything I was looking for. Not to say it didn't have good stuff, because there were some interesting picks here. I'm pretty passive when it comes to looking for VHS, but one I'm looking for is Indian in the Cupboard with a key and figurine. This one unfortunately didn't have either. I always like finding a Commodore 64, even though I don't typically hook them up. This is a beautiful TV. I probably couldn't use it for vintage video games, but it is so cool. So much energy! This video game booth had a ton of really great stuff. This Game Boy Micro was a little expensive, but it's neat to see in box. And I really don't need another Wii U, but it's neat to see. This game was cracked in half, so you couldn't get it, even though $30 was a decent price for it. I feel like Grand Theft Auto is becoming such a huge game that they could nest entire other games, kind of like Shenmue, into their games, like their older classic Rockstar games. I heard this movie wasn't that good, but the VHS looks neat. I found it very interesting that there was a Top Gun game here from the GameCube era. I mean, why were they bringing up that IP? These are some pretty sick UMDs, so I picked them both up. He cut me a deal for Nintendo Power since I picked up quite a few. And I didn't buy this, but it's pretty neat looking. In case you were wondering, they do have some guy stuff. Stuff for guys. I always like looking for old cameras and new lenses while I'm out. I'm always hoping to find something good. Nowadays, I'm mostly looking for Sony and Canon lenses. I did find this neat little point and shoot camera for only $5, so I'll try it out sometime. This vendor has some pretty good prices, but nothing in particular that I'm looking for. It is neat to see this many games though. Would you look at that purple tape player? It's purple. Well, hey there, bad Super Metroid Repro box, and then some video games. Neat. Once you pop, the fun don't stop. And this booth has a bunch of very large real animals. Kind of freaks me out. And finally, a booth with some video games. Let's check it out. Hey, check it out. They've got a copy of Jak 2. I've actually never played any of these games. Have you ever? This guy was pretty cool. I asked him how much Contra was, and then he was like, I don't know, like $20. And I was like, okay, thank you. And he was like, you can like talk me down if you want to. I was like, well, I want to pay $5 less. And he's like, okay, that's fine. So now I own Contra, look at me. There are so many Super Monkey Ball games out. I really enjoy the series, but I have no idea which ones I should play. This is another situation where I saw this, but I didn't really want it, so I left it here. And this table also had some more of these old Japanese mechs. At most flea markets, I usually don't find much, but that's okay. The real reason I'm here is to go outside, look at some neat stuff, and hopefully get some vitamin D. I go to these flea markets enough so I have friendships with some of the vendors too, so sometimes it's just nice to say, hey, how you doing? how's life? He wanted $60 for this, which was probably a good price, but I left it here. I love the grab bag and the mix of nostalgia that you'll find on these. Perhaps this is just an indication that I'm getting older as a person. Something else, those original Star Fox puppets are just so detailed. They're insane. Look at this thing. I'm not gonna lie, I was obsessed with the soundtrack. I know like every word to the song. People go to flea markets for a number of reasons. Some of them are chasing nostalgia. Other people are trying to get a great deal. But I think it's the idea of going out there and touching faces and interacting with other people to have a connection to a time and a place of yesteryear that really keeps me going over and over again. I love video games, I love stuff, but it's not the buying of this stuff that makes me happy. It's the connections. I ended up picking up that copy of Contra. I also got this camera, and last but not least, I also got this copy of Titanic on VHS. That's going in the pile. For a long time, I've been very passively collecting Nintendo Power magazines. It's just a really cool thing. There's not too many of them. All in, there's 285 issues, which is interesting because there's only 296 N64 games in the US. This is a situation where they'd just be nice to have, but I'm not like actively hunting them down. Whenever I see a new one, I just kind of pick it up. I also got this vintage How to Win at Nintendo book, which was kind of cool, this sealed copy of Ninja Gaiden 3, and this Metal Gear Solid documentary, which I believe was some sort of pack-in with one of the different versions of Metal Gear Solid. I have some more footage of Elephant Trunk Flea Market from over the summer, so yeah, I'll show that to you sometime. As always, if you like this, subscribe. I always make new stuff. Have a great day, and I hope you enjoyed that.